I was at Coconut Creek, which is like the smaller one closer by here. And I'm sitting there at the blackjack table. Mind you guys, it's 2 a.m., right? I'm sitting there with my colleague that I work with, who's my friend as well. We're sitting there playing blackjack. We're at the high limits too, playing big blackjack. And I look up, right? I just look up from where I'm sitting. And I'm like, that's Jason Pierre-Paul.
Oh, shit.
Jason Pierre-Paul was playing blackjack in the table right in front of me.
That's cool.
Literally, I'm looking at him. I'm like shrugging my colleague who's sitting right next. I'm like, do you know who that is? And he's like, no, he's losing money. He doesn't give a crap who's in front of him. And I'm like, that's Jason Pierre-Paul, who won a Super Bowl for the Giants, played for the Bucks, legend player. And I was like blown away. Mind you, this is almost now 3 a.m. I'm like, I gotta say something to him. I gotta go up to him. I mean, I'm a huge fan. I love the guy. I'm a Giants fan. Who doesn't love who has a Giants fan?
Think about it that if he goes at like 10 p.m., how many people are going to be in the predicament you're in? Well, so he probably goes at that time so that people leave him alone.
I think, actually a couple of things. I found out afterwards it was actually his birthday, so I guess he was celebrating at the hotel.
Kind of messed up. You didn't say happy birthday, man.
Well, so here's the thing, right? I was gonna go up to him. I actually got up. I said, "All right, I'm gonna go up to him. Fuck it. What do I care? I'm playing high limits. We're playing the same stakes blackjack. I can go up to this guy and tell him hi. How are you? Right?" So I get up and I'm like, you know what? Like, he's zoned in, right? He's playing. I don't blame him. You're playing big blackjack. You're gonna have to be zoned in. He's not like, oh, da 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 da. He's zoned in playing.
Yeah, but he's always got a bad hand.
He's got a bad hand. He's got a very bad. That was a good one. He's got always got a bad hand. Oh, nice. Poor man's always got a bad hand.
I didn't pick up on that at first.
That would have been funny to say to him too. Man, you can't play this game. You always have a bad hand. That would have been hysterical. Oh man, that was good, man. That was good.
He does have one hand to knock you out with, though.
Yeah, he does have one to knock you out with. And when he stands up at 6'4", I'm running. I'm fleeing the scene. He'll probably catch me too, because for a big man, that guy can run. But anyway, so I get up, I try to go to say hi to him, and then I realize he's playing. I'm like, I'm gonna wait till after the shoot, when the dealer is reshuffling the cards, when there's like a few minutes break, then I'll go up to him, right? And I go back to my table. I'm sitting down. I'm just looking at the guy. I mean, he's right in front of me. He's playing at the table right in front of me. 5 minutes go by. He stares there, and then I guess a few minutes I didn't pay attention. I look up. Dealer's shuffling. Nobody's at the table. I'm like, oh my god, how did I miss this opportunity to go say hi to one of the legend New York Giant players? But it was cool to just see him. I mean, I was literally a few feet away from this guy. And hopefully he won. I don't know if he did or not, but it was his birthday that night. So, listen, if he lost a few $1,000s, I think he could afford it. I mean, unless he blew some of that money away. But anyways, welcome to Beyond the Score podcast. Forgot we were rolling for a second here. I just got right into it. We have I'd say the most special guest. We haven't had many guests. But considering we've had some pretty good people on the show, I'd say we have the best one on today. And this person has asked us questions every single week, and he's asked us great questions every single week. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Matt, a.k.a. Monorail Matt.
Yeah, thanks.
Woo, Matt!
Little backstory.
Ben's been waiting for the podcast. Little backstory, of course. Ben's been waiting for this moment since the first question.
Well, I mean, listen, it's been a lot of questions Ben's been asking, so he's been curious.
This is for you, Matt.
Okay. Wow, that felt authentic too. I really felt the audience really just getting into that clap. So, we should play the Star Wars theme song.
You got to play one of those tunes every time they are about to ask one of my questions.
You know what? Put it on the list. Put it on the list of things that we might have to consider doing in the future. Drum roll, please.
Wait, you want a drum roll? This is the last one.
Oh, that's a good one.
And then leads right into his question. Okay. I think we could make those arrangements happen.
Yeah, let's do that. I like it.
But just a little backstory for anybody that's watching, so you guys know, we all went to high school together. Actually, we graduated together. Same year, 2013, graduated. And that was 12 years ago. Look at us now, all sitting in front of this camera now. Matt, I know you got some crazy stuff to ask too.
Sorry, you were gonna say all sitting here, but then you're just sitting there and we're on Zoom.
You guys are sitting down. Don't tell me you're standing up over there.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I do not have a standing desk,
I know.
so you
You're
caught
sitting.
me.
I see.
Harry, before we get into it, I have something that I thought you might have a stronger opinion than most on that I wanted to know your opinion on.
Okay.
So I lost my engagement ring, so then I got another one, and then I found it. So I had no idea like what to do. So now I just wear them on both hands. I
What?
don't know your thoughts. Yeah, because I don't know what to do. Like I like Carrie likes the black one more than the original one, and this one means a lot to me.
Wait,
So
you mean your wedding band?
yeah. Did I say engagement ring? My fault.
You did, but I think I understood what you meant. I was just clarifying for a second here. I wanted to make sure that if there was an engagement ring, anytime I propose to a woman, I'm going to make sure I get an engagement ring too, because I was going to say I need to have that happen. But anyways,
Yeah.
I love the fact that you found it. That's the most important thing. And
was
yeah,
so
you
excited.
should rock both of them. Why not? Now you could do something. You could rock two of them on one finger. You could one and one. You could mix
I got
and
the
match.
side eye.
You
I
could
got the
make one of
side-eye
them a
affair.
necklace.
That's true too. I got the side eye when I put them both on the same hand, so that was out. And
That
then
was out.
I was playing around figuring out what I should do with it. I put one on the pointer finger, one on the ring finger, and then I fell asleep. And then I tried putting it on each hand, and I don't know, it feels good. I'm a very committed man.
Well, listen. At the end of the day, the most important thing is you found it. Thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, where'd
now
you find
have
it?
two. Yeah, where did yeah.
Yo, so
And how long was it lost for, by the way?
I found it 2 or 3 days ago. It was lost since December. And literally, Matt, you'll be able to attest to this. The car seat is like when it's in the car, there's like a little space between. So it was right there. If I would have looked under the car seat one time in the last 4.5 months, I would have, or is that 5.5 months? I don't even know. But if I would have looked in that spot, it was sitting right there the whole time.
Wow, that's a curious place also to find it too. So you think maybe you put your hand down there at one point, lift it up,
Yeah.
and then maybe the finger fell down there. You didn't even realize you started driving again, whatever the case is. Because if that's the case, you would never think to like look there again to say, "Oh yeah, that's where
Exactly.
I must have left my ring." Because you think, "Oh, ring, you take it off, you put it someplace special,
never take it
or
off
even you take it off, you might put it someplace, but for it to just
Yeah.
fall off your finger, luckily it fell off in the car."
Yeah. I thought it was gone forever. I took the girls to Chuck E. Cheese that day, and I thought that that it was at Chuck E. Cheese and gone. So I thought that was a
Wow.
crazy story, and um, I I think that this is the way I'm gonna rock going forward. But I felt like you would have like something to say. Not didn't think you would say something bad, which you didn't. But I thought that you would have something to contribute to that
What
situation.
is there bad to say about the situation at the end
I
of the
don't
day?
know.
Listen, it's a
People
beautiful
always think
thing that you have a higher up power who looks over you and says, "You're going to find this ring." And guess what? You found that ring. All right, it took a few months. It could have taken years. You might have not found that. You might have gotten rid of that car and gave it back and the ring was in there. But you found
yeah,
that ring after December, January, February, March, 3, 4 months, you
yeah,
got another one. You replaced it for the time being, and you were always still in the back of your head, and it popped up.
yeah. It was
So
crazy. It was just sitting
great
there.
thing.
Like I felt like such an idiot. It was just sitting there. Like it didn't. I didn't. It wasn't like lodged in anything
Oh,
where like
I have a good
I put my
idea.
hand in.
I have a good idea. You know what you could do with one of them? Make it a necklace.
Isn't that what Matt said?
That's what I
Matt did
just
say
said.
that. Matt did say
Matt,
that.
did you just say that?
You're stealing my thunder, Harry.
I swear to God, the funny thing is, I don't know where my head was at. I thought you said that he should wear them on 2 different fingers on the same hand. That's what I thought
That's what
you
you
said.
said.
That is what you said.
That is what I said, but I thought you said the same thing as I said. So that's why I was like, yeah, it's a good idea, But obviously then Kerry said no, gave the side eye, so we scratched that idea. Now, funny enough, I am not wearing it right now, but I usually wear it. I took it off because my other reasons. I'm not going to get into why I took off my necklace, but I have a necklace that has my parents' wedding bands that are like linked into each other as a
Oh, that's dope.
necklace. It's actually really, really beautiful. It's crazy. I don't know how like a jeweler was able to like get that done, but
Did
it's
they
like
like mold it, or
it's like
is it
molded together.
inside each, like this or like this?
No, it's
Like,
like it's like this.
That's sick.
It's crazy.
That's
I'm
pretty
like, I
cool.
don't even know how like a jeweler would get that done, but and then my mom had a beautiful necklace done. She was wearing it for a while after my dad passed away, And then she gave it to me, and I'm like, this is a very special thing. I said I'd never take it off, and then I ended up taking it off. But I'm not going to get into the reason why I took it off. It wasn't anything major or anything like that, but we're not going to share why. Okay? We're going to now get right into the things that we're here to talk about, which is sports, because that's what we do here at the Beyond the Score podcast. We talk about sports. And I know Matt has some questions he wants to ask us. We might have some questions to ask him. So where do we begin? I mean, what are we thinking? Ben, you think we should just get right into it and have Matt start asking away?
Yeah, I kind of want to hear what Matt's first question would be to be on the show. Like, you're on the show right now. What's your first question?
I'm happy you still gave yourself the FaceTime. No, sorry. I was just saying I'm happy Ben still gave himself the FaceTime because that's normally his spot.
I was gonna say, sorry, Ben, I'm stealing your thunder here.
Not at all.
This is usually your moment.
It's okay. It's all right. You take it away.
All right. My first question is, do you think the main reason why athletes are getting injured now is because of their training methods versus in the past where it was more, I guess, rare for guys to get injured here and there?
I think honestly, it would start with the fact that I feel like people are they're less like, what's the word? They don't let themselves have the minor injuries and heal those and like learn to play through pain and play through that. So they don't know what that's like to be kind of hurt and what necessarily to do. And then so they keep going and keep pushing themselves and then wait, no, the other way around. So then they don't push themselves. Their body doesn't understand like what the other muscles have to do. So they just, like, for example, the elbows, they just snap. Like I feel like people are like the training methods are a part of it, but I feel like the training methods are they're trying to get such a competitive advantage that they're pushing the human body to like certain limits. And of course, with doing that, sometimes people are going to get hurt.
Well, so I think there's a combination of a lot of things that are happening, especially with a lot of the things that you said, Josh. Let's start with in the past. I think a lot of players were playing through injuries and they were not, I don't want to use foul language right now, but they played through their injuries. So if you had a tough pulled hamstring or a calf strain or something like that, you played through that in the 90s and in the 80s. I think now we're seeing a lot of players.
And in hockey.
I mean, in any sport really, injuries are happening all over across at higher rates than we ever thought or ever expected. I think, a lot of players are trying new methods to uncover ways to be better at their craft. And then in these experiments, sometimes, they're like they are experiments. It's causing injuries because you really haven't put it out there. You're trying new things on a fly. And then eventually you don't have a track record to see how well this is going to do in the long run on your body. And then you just have some players, who are prone to these injuries because their body are just not able to take the training that they're going through. It's a combination of a few things that are happening. I think, the one thing that I'd like to say here is that if something is not broken, don't try and fix it, right? Or make it better. There's no point. Now, I get you want to be ahead of the game and you want to be smart and try to always be on top, right? But if it's costing you 40% of the season or more, then is it really worth it? I mean, we see some of the greatest athletes of our generation who they were so great at some point and then the injuries started catching up. Prime example, Mike Trout, right? I mean, and for our generation, probably the greatest baseball player to play overall in terms of skill set wise. For the first 8 years of his career, he was elite, multiple MVP, Silver Sluggers, Gold Gloves, was just a generational type of player that all Yankee fans would have dreamed of having until the injury started creeping up and they started catching to him. And by age 30, hitting into your prime of baseball, you're getting now all these injuries. And we saw all this greatness, and then now we're seeing him play, I think, over the last 5 seasons, maybe 40% of the games. He's missed majority of the games so far for the Angels. So, if something's not broken, don't try and go out of your way to make things so much better, because at the end of the day, when you risk injuries and you don't want to play through them, because back in the day people play through them, now nobody takes that chance. If you're hurt or if you're potentially not even feeling good, teams aren't taking a chance. They don't want to make this worse, the injury. They don't want things to linger. They want to resolve it now as quickly as they can. Unfortunately, as Yankee fans know, our training staff is not very good at picking this stuff up usually off rip. And then we have injuries that are lining up right around the spring training time and prior to pitchers and catchers reporting and things like that. And like Garrett Cole, didn't make any sense to me. Luis Severino, over the past multiple injuries, never made sense to me why we didn't do better in terms of preserving this player. And I think a lot of it has to do with the team, and whatever methods their training facilities are using, and obviously on the player as well too, what they're doing in the offseason to keep up with, themselves. So I think it's a lot of things happening. It's unfortunate. We never want to see injuries, even for your biggest rivals. Like, I hate the Boston Red Sox, but I'd rather play them at their best than have, Devers and a few of their best players out because of injuries. That's not what I want to see. I want to see top tier competition play. Even though, your team might have an advantage, I'd rather say my team's going to have an advantage full blown healthy, right? So great question.
But I wanna bring one layer to it that for you, Harry, and both Matt, while you're here. Looking at the Dodgers roster, I mean, you could argue that they signed guys like Snell, like Glasnow, like Kopech, all these guys that are on the injured list. Like Gratterall's injured. Just looking at it, Trinan's injured, Gonsolin's injured. You could say that bringing these guys in and doing all these deferrals makes you able to have 7 starters throw 20, 25 games, and then if one of them blows their arm out, you're fine. But that's the type of thing that sort of deferral creates, because it takes a little bit of the risk out of it if you don't really care about the money side of it. And I want to know if you guys think that any of like the reason why those guys went there is because they know that they're not looking to have the aces workload put on them. There's no pressure on them to be healthy until October.
What are you thinking, Matt?
I mean, I would say the Dodgers specifically. If someone said, "Hey, you want to sign with the Pirates or the Dodgers?" You're going to go for the Dodgers because
Of course.
you're more likely going to get the ring. I don't know if that necessarily plays into the fact of, hey, Blake Snell, you could be the ace of probably 20 teams in the league, but the Dodgers want you as their number 4 or 5 guy.
Mhm.
I don't know if that was part of his factor of saying, "Hey, you know what? I don't need that kind of stress in my life. Let me go for the Dodgers."
Yeah.
But it could play a part in some of the relief pitchers not having to be, the closer and having the stress of being that guy to save every game. Probably
Yeah.
plays a pretty big factor in them, I would imagine.
Yeah, for sure. A season's long worth of stress is definitely not ideal when you're definitely not ideal when you get to the postseason and it starts all over again. Harry, what do you think?
Well, you never want to deal with injuries because, especially in a sport like baseball where rhythm is really important, you have to get into your stride, right? And it might take a few starts for a pitcher, a few games for an everyday hitter to get into that motion. So, if let's say you're missing crucial time, let's say before postseason, you're out for the month of September and a couple of weeks of August, and then you're ready a week before the postseason starts, that's not a really good scenario to be in. Now, are you willing to sacrifice quote unquote legacy for being a number 5 when you could have been a number 1 on another team? Well, I guess you can offset that by how successful the team is in winning championships, because those will help your legacy as well. But nobody's doing what the Dodgers is doing, right? Deferring all these contracts out. Let's off rip, we can take out 22 or 20 teams that can't do this because of the market size. They're not big enough markets to be able to do something that the Dodgers are
Minimum,
doing.
yeah.
The Dodgers are doing this because they know that they're deferring out so much money, but they're going to have the money to be able to pay for it. A team like the Pittsburgh Pirates, or even a team like the Cleveland Guardians or Detroit Tigers, where, they could be mid-tier teams based on market size, but they're not because of their owners. Well, Detroit, they're willing to spend here and there, but Cleveland and Pittsburgh specifically are not spending, even though the market share is good enough. They fall in those 20 teams that, even if you found an owner that's willing to come there and say, I'll spend $100 million payroll or $120 million payroll, they're not doing these deferrals. The Yankees aren't doing it, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense, because even though you're willing to take on the sacrifices of you can afford to pay it, how does that affect your overall luxury tax over those next few years, right? It's a big thing. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of teams just start deferring out contracts so they can get 4 or 5 starters, or have guys who can replace pitchers if they fall apart, or let's say Mookie Betts falls apart. Well, no problem. They have oh my God, I'm blanking on it. Freddie Freeman. They have a sick roster. Shohei Ohtani. It doesn't matter if one of their stars goes down. They have 3 more to replace them with. So what they're doing, great for them. But if, let's say, the Yankees, if Paul Goldschmidt goes down, that is very bad, considering where their offense is, and there are only a few guys in that lineup right now that are actually overproducing or producing well compared to most of that lineup. If Paul Goldschmidt goes down, that's a big headache.
I did not think you'd be saying that when I looked 1 month ago. I did not think you'd be saying that Paul Goldschmidt would have such a big share of what the lineup does. But we don't need to get into baseball now. But that dude deserves a whole segment at another time.
Yeah, he's a great player. I mean, all in and all out. We're not going to get into the greatness of Paul Goldschmidt right now, but he's been there and done that, which is really big. But hopefully the teams start prioritizing training staffs. Ultimately, if we can avoid injuries, that makes sports better. So maybe, and I'm for this, I don't mind taking 10% out of your payroll for salary cap for some sports, and then your payroll for baseball, and put that towards investing in your training staff, making that the most elite you possibly can. Because if you have a healthy team, that's going to get you as far as you possibly need to go.
Yeah, I mean, especially with pitchers nowadays, their arms are ticking time bombs. GMs are looking at, you just had a Tommy John surgery last year. We'll probably sign you over the guy who never had one.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's true.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, sports are evolving. I think, if teams are willing to put that emphasis on making sure that their players stay healthy, then they'll do it. It's unfortunate that we haven't seen it yet. Everyone discusses this. Fans talk about this all the time. Keep your players healthy. They don't listen to us. So they just keep spending the money where they think it's best, which is filling out their rosters with huge players, talented players, and that doesn't always work out. I mean, we live with Giancarlo Stanton as an everyday reason why this is not a good way to run a baseball team or a sports team.
Yeah, for sure.
To take on this risk when you're paying a guy $25+ million, let's say, especially now with these guys who are getting crazy contracts nowadays. It's crazy. Juan Soto goes down $52 million, $51 million a year. If he gets injured and he misses a lot of the season, that's very, very rough.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's move on. Let's get out of here. We don't want to dwell on injuries. We hope injuries don't happen. Let's get into any other questions. You got some good ones.
Yeah, I think he got a bonus one for his appearance.
Oh,
I got another one for you. So, obviously, there's a lot of sport movies out there. What's your favorite and why?
Oh, man, that's such a tough question. That is a tough question. That might be the toughest question, honestly, because there's so many good ones. I love 2 very much so. I love Moneyball, and I love The Blind Side. And they're newer movies. Obviously, Moneyball came out in 2010, I believe it was. And then Blind Side came out around the same year, same time. But both were just such great movies. If I had to pick one, and you said, Harry, it's great that you love 2, but you have to pick one, I'm going to go Moneyball because it's baseball, and baseball is my favorite sport. So I just, that movie was an incredible, because you know how accurate it is. There's some discrepancies with it, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of accurate things about it. And it's also the main picture of how that worked, right? And everyone talks about you need to spend to keep up in baseball. If you don't have a $200 million or $150 million payroll, it doesn't work. Well, that movie, and obviously also what the Tampa Bay Rays have done over the last 10 years, but that movie shows you why that's not the case. And baseball is much bigger
Mhm.
than that. And actually, I think that movie helped baseball grow a lot in terms of understanding that this is not just a sport, but this is numbers and analytics and just being ahead
Yeah.
of the curve and things like that. So, yeah, I'm gonna go Moneyball, and then Blindside would be a strong number 2. I love that movie too.
Yeah, so and for me, I had a top two and then I had an honorable mention because my top two were both baseball movies. My honorable mention was Longest Yard just because I enjoy watching that movie a lot.
Great movie.
Um, my number one is also Moneyball for all the same reasons, so I don't really need to get into that besides being masters in sports analytics and being a sports guy and just loving that side of the game. I think that it's pretty clear knowing me that that would be something that I would love. And the other one's Major League, just because you really obviously like when you play baseball, you don't always it's not always so dramatic in sense of the way the relationships are between players and with ownership and with managers, but it's just kind of cool to see like because it as a kid, as a young adult, you could look at your favorite players and be like, these guys have whole lives outside of baseball. And I really never really thought of it before that they weren't just baseball players that just I don't know, did baseball all day. And then I don't even know how young I was when that movie came out or if I wasn't that young, but I think that overall it's like 1A and 1B, but based on the analytical side of things and the way I love baseball, that Moneyball would be 1A and Major League B 1B. But
That's a great
I don't
list.
yeah, I don't think that I think there's a ton of great sports movies also. Harry, the other one you said was great too, The Blind Side. And Matt, what's yours?
That's a good question. I was going back and forth in my head. You got Ace Ventura with the Dolphins, then you got Happy Gilmore with golf,
Mm,
but I'm probably gonna go with Remember the Titans because I remember growing up watching that movie and realizing, there's more than just the sport of football and how
mhm.
that bonds, not just people, but at that time the segregation. I thought it was a fantastic movie.
Ah,
I think I got yelled at the other day for not having not seen that movie.
what?
Yeah, yeah, that was me. Sorry.
Oh wow!
I
I
thought
think
I
Josh.
thought
I
it was
think
good.
I think by next week you have to have watched that movie because I'm
I have
gonna
a
quiz.
homework assignment.
I'm gonna quiz you on it. And
All right.
I think the couple of people who watch this show very often are gonna be very disappointed to know that you have not watched this movie yet. So we got to change that, and we're gonna have some good questions to ask you next week.
Is my rapid fire going to be questions about the movie?
Honestly, we might have to do that. We're gonna have to probably do something like that. That's a good idea. But Matt, I have a question for you. If
Go
you could
for it.
change anything, one thing, in any sport, you have the authority. It's up to you. You could change this. What would you change?
I love that.
It's a good question. Sounds like one I might have asked.
I learned from the best. So
Yeah. um, hmm. So I would put a tiny, probably like a 1 foot by 1 foot section in the outfield. And the home team could place it anywhere in the outfield at any game. And if you hit a home run and it goes in that slot, you automatically win.
That'd be sick.
wow, it's like kind of like combining golf. It's like a hole in one.
Yeah, I mean
So Matt,
it makes you realize how difficult baseball truly is, regardless. You can make that probably a 5 foot by 5 foot section, and you know,
Still be
and
really
maybe
hard
you'll
to
get
get in
one a
there.
year.
Yeah,
but Matt,
no, that would be
I got a
that'd be
question
crazy.
for you about your answer. If you have that 1 foot by 1 foot section, and you want to make sure that it stays within the integrity of the game, what would you think about putting it in the wall so that just you hit it straight into the wall into that little spot and no one can really mess with it?
Mm. No, they'd probably have to take the seats out and just put it right there.
Oh, it
Oh,
would
so
be
just
in
like
the
box everybody
seats.
out, like box
Yeah, and then
everybody out
it
so
has
nobody
like
can.
So it's
a
a
little
home run.
sensor on it. It shoots out some confetti and fireworks when it happens. But
So it's a home run. The player would have to hit a home run, and if it hits in that section of the home run, game over. It's like a walk off,
Like literally,
basically.
like
Yep.
literally like this.
That's actually
Yep.
it's like you could celebrate that as like a walk off.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool. Yeah, I was
That'd be
trying to
sick,
think.
man.
I was like, are you putting this in the outfield someplace? Like,
Oh
how does
yeah,
that
it's
work?
gonna be in the outfield.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
it's definitely gonna be in the outfield, but I wasn't sure if it was like a 1 foot by 1 foot like chalk mark on the like the
Oh
field.
no, no, no,
And
no,
like
no.
they
It'll
had
be
to
like
lay in there.
the center fielder would trip over on the way.
Yeah, he probably would get thrown off. He didn't realize it was just spray paint on the floor. He's like, oh my God. And then guess what happens? Leads to an injury, done for the season. That's why you got to focus on the training staff. Okay? Can't allow these injuries to happen because these players are going to trip over Matt's amazing idea for no reason. No reason at all.
You got to get Brian Cashman on the phone and tell him that.
Yeah, Brian Cashman's got 47,000 voicemails right now from angry Yankee fans telling him to trade and fire everybody right now. So
Oh, I'm sure he does.
So I mean, listen, maybe I'm just a little over the top when it comes to the Yankees. I put a lot of pressure on them in my head. I put a lot of pressure on them, and so when they don't deliver the results that I expect, I'm like, all right, you know what? Something's got to give here. Something's got to change.
Hey, at least you keep it in your head. There's a lot of fans out there that all the playoff appearances and World Series appearances aren't enough. So
Well, listen. At the end of the day, history is what we go based on, right? And 27 World Series, it's a nice, beautiful thing to be able to say that our team's accomplished. So, Matt, thanks again. That was great. Do we have anything else for Matt to share with us, or are we sharing with Matt? What's
Well,
happening?
I got one more question for him.
Oh boy.
I planned something more around Yankee stuff, but I kind of just thought of something off rip because your question was really good. Um, if you could, if they could be real or they could be from a sports movie, if you could have like you and three other athletes, real or fictional, at a dinner that as long as you're there, you can ask them as many questions as you want, and until you're ready to leave, they have to stay. And you obviously you would just talk to them, and you would all learn from each other. And who would your three be? It could be any sport. It could be any. It could be even like a coach.
3 people to have
Hmm.
dinner with?
Yeah, like all together though. So be just because I don't know. Maybe you could
That's tough, man.
combine minds and create like an amazing thing for the game. And Matt, they don't have to be alive either if it's someone in the past.
yeah, no worries. I'd probably go with James Shields because he's my boy. Love that guy. I've used him in every MLB I possibly can until he retired, and then I basically would create my own James Shields so I didn't have to let him retire.
That's actually hilarious. I love that.
Probably go with Derek Jeter. You got to go with the captain.
Of course.
Grew up loving the Yankees because of him, and obviously I'm my dad being a Yankee fan. But watching Jeter do his thing every day, putting the work in on and off the field, it was something special to watch. And then I'd probably go with Michael Strahan because he was my boy on the Giants growing up. I don't think I would have been a Giants fan without Strahan.
I think it'd be hard to keep Harry away from that dinner table.
Yeah, if there's a 4th seat, I'll try to get in there, but it seems like it's full already. But that's a that's a nice round table to be around. That's a great question. I'd have to start with the great Greg Popovich. I mean, he's brilliant, and I think when you think of some of the most perfect head coaches, even though there's nothing is perfect, I put him in that category as pretty close. I mean,
Yeah.
and everything that man has done, not only on the court but off the court, how he's helped women's coaching grow, and obviously I think that's led to growth in just women's basketball. Huge,
Yeah.
right? And one thing we can agree upon is that he didn't do this to be in the spotlight. He did this because he believed it was the right thing to do. So,
And because she was the best candidate, he wouldn't hire someone that wasn't qualified.
100%. And he's just one of the most, if not the most brilliant mind in basketball, in my opinion, ever. So I think I'd love to have him there. I'm going to go with Mariano Rivera, the greatest closer in the history of baseball, unanimous Hall of Fame, the only player to be a unanimous Hall of Famer. So put him on that table too. He's my favorite athlete of all time. I wouldn't take anybody else over him. And if I had to go with a number 3, wow. It's tough, man, because now it's like, all right, you got your 2, and then who's that number 3 guy when there's like 15 people you want to pick? But if
Yeah.
I had to pick one, third option to sit next to Greg Popovich, Mariano Rivera.
I would be disappointed if you don't say who I'm thinking.
I'm going to go with the greatest of all, Yogi Berra.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking you were gonna say.
I mean, it makes sense. Probably the greatest catcher in the history of baseball, in my opinion. And I think if you don't have that same opinion, then you probably don't know what you're talking about.
And
For
you're
his
wrong.
size and stature, what he did,
All those rings.
all those rings, all those yogiisms. Man, I'd have a pamphlet by the time I'm done. We would record years of episodes, and I'd have new yogiisms every single week.
Mhm.
So, I mean, yeah, get me that table right there. Yogi Berra, Mariano Rivera, Greg Popovich. Whew. Who's paying?
Yeah.
Ben.
right,
Ben's,
Josh,
Hopefully not you.
Ben's got the tab, he said.
Let's go.
Ben's paying for all of our dinners with these athletes.
Let's go.
Oh, man. Wow. What about you, Josh? What does your round table look like?
Yeah, so my first one would be Drew Brees. I honestly don't think I would have ever gotten into football without him and Reggie Bush, but I picked Drew Brees because of just the quality of his personality and his character and what he did for the city and how he he encapsulated a whole fan base and a whole community, which I'm sure a lot of teams feel like for theirs, but I was never really a football guy, couldn't have cared less. And then I saw Reggie Bush was really athletic, so I followed what team he went to. It was there was more to it than that. I'm just high leveling it. And then I saw Drew Brees, and I was like, wow, this is a real leader, someone to really shows that the passion behind certain things with the game, and just seeing how he got through it. Like it's similar to your Yogi Berra thing with his size and stature and the adversity. Um, my second one, I have a lot of older players that I liked, and I want to what's it called? I want to give a shout to my favorite player growing up, which was Albert Pujols. I don't know if everyone knew that when I've been a huge Yankee fan forever, but just Albert Pujols, the machine, just the way he the way he went about the game, the way he absolutely dominated. I don't think that since his time with St. Louis, I don't think there's been anyone between that and Aaron Judge now. I don't think there's been anyone that's been that dominant like that in for an extended period of time. And the third, I have it tough because like I said, Aaron Judge is amazing and he's cool, but I feel like I'm kind of living vicariously through it now, so I guess he'd be an honorable mention. And I'd want to have Jackie Robinson. I'd want to learn what sort of things that I mean, obviously there are certain things that nobody would ever want to hear, but I would want to hear his story and hear what sort of things drove him to keep doing it every day, to understand the magnitude of every single at bat, understand the magnitude of being successful. Because honestly, not that not that people of all races, all whatever walks of life don't deserve to play, but if he wasn't as good as he was, you don't know if we would have ever known who he was. It might have been somebody else. It might have never happened, but he just kept fighting. He kept playing amazing, and he almost wore it as a scar, not a scar. He wore it as a badge
Badge
of
of honor.
honor. Yeah, exactly. And he knew what he was doing for a reason, but at the same time, his teammates were all white, and he went to work with them, and he was a teammate to them, and they accepted him. I'm sure that there were things that he had go on, which I would love to learn about. But I think overall, he went through life um, in a way that very few people got to triumph from. There's a lot of unfortunate situations in all races, all religions that people have had segregation and discrimination and things that we we try to avoid on here because we love everybody on Beyond the Score podcast. But I just wanted to make sure that that was I want to make sure that was said. But I think Jackie Robinson would be an incredible person to learn from, and I think that if you can get a soundbite of him talking for 5 or 10 minutes, it could motivate an entire people to get together and stop doing what you're doing.
Three great people: Jackie Robinson, Albert Pujols, and Drew Brees.
It's a pretty good table.
I think we got to combine
I think
these
they're
these
also
three tables. Maybe we just make it nine people, nine celebrities, or nine athletes, and the three of us. That would be
and
the
Ben
best
since
case
he's buying
scenario.
and
Yeah,
Ben
And as
since
you
he's
guys were
Ben's
talking, I was
paying.
thinking of another honorable mention of Nick Swisher. I feel like he'd be
Nick
pretty
Swisher.
pretty fun at the table.
You might
He'd be
actually
the
run into
fire.
him at the Roosevelt Field Mall if you're lucky one day.
He'd be a fire waiter for that table because like he would definitely like he'd have something to say to every single person that was there and
Oh,
give everyone a
100%.
smile.
Yeah, but if you wanted to also sit down and grab a plate, by all means, swish. Go for it.
I
No
mean, there's
problem.
100 people that could sit down and grab a plate. But
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of people. Honestly, if you're an athlete, come on in, no problem. Well, we got a good list. That was a great 9 people, I think, overall. I mean, you have people who are no longer with us. You have people who are still playing and in between, and you can learn a lot from Jackie Robinson all the way to Aaron Judge, even if he's an honorable mention. So, lot to learn, lot to uncover with those guys. Yogi, those yogiisms, man. I get like 400 at least, just off rip. Wow. What else we got cooking? Anything else? Any other questions? We all good with questions?
we
No
all
more?
good.
I guess we're
So-
all good.
So happy Matt took
Matt.
the time to be with us. Ben, you have any questions for Matt?
Let's see. Do I have any questions for Matt? Well, Harry was giving me a little bit of a background, but you guys all went to high school together. Matt, what's your favorite sport?
I want to say baseball, but that's because I'm a Giants fan. But football, there's just something about that cat mouse game of offense versus defense, and then just everyone just knocking each other's socks off that I just love. But don't get me wrong, baseball is right there. It's I used to love especially the National League. I'm also a Brewers fan. Watching the coaches basically manipulate their lineups when the pitcher used to bat, just an art. I mean, they kind of took away from the game in that aspect, in my opinion, but they wanted the DH instead, so they went with that.
Yeah. Well, I think watching these guys swing a bat, except Bartolo Colon, wasn't always a pretty. Oh, actually, who was it? Madison Bumgarner, great hitter for a pitcher.
Greinke wasn't bad either.
Greinke was good too. There's some of those guys were able to swing a bat actually, but they just never. Yeah, Andy Pettitte.
Andy Pettitte has more RBIs in the postseason than Trout.
That's actually insane. But Trout's only played one postseason, so yeah, I guess when you consider that,
He's a pitcher batting. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. Mariano Rivera even has an RBI.
I did not.
Yeah,
know.
I remember. I remember that. At
You know who walked him?
Wasn't it K-Rod?
It was K-Rod. K-Rod walked Mariano with the bases loaded in like the 9th inning. Unbelievable. And he tied the game.
That's why baseball's a beautiful thing.
I just couldn't believe that. I was like, you are probably in that time, 2 of the best closers in baseball. And one of them walked the other one with the bases loaded.
You know, I just like, because I can't.
crazy.
He's like, I can't hit this guy, like, because what if I hit him? Then like,
I don't think Mariano had any intention of swinging that bat.
yeah, no shot.
He could have thrown 3 pitches right down the middle, and maybe on the third one he fouls it, and then he throws another one down the middle, and he swings and misses or takes it. But I don't know. I don't know what K-Rod was doing that about. He tried to get a little too crafty. Maybe he thought, I'm going to show the best closer in baseball, then I could strike him out, and I'm just better than him, which was clearly not worked out because the Yankees ended up winning that game. So, Matt, thank you again so much for joining in, and we really appreciate it. I mean, we appreciate you every single week commenting away and giving us some really great questions, and I think from now on we're going to need at least 2 questions so that we can be on our toes.
Before
here,
I go,
so.
I'll show you. I got a notepad of all the questions I've asked, so I don't repeat the questions.
Oh, that's amazing, actually.
when it gets long enough, we'll have to make that into a book.
Yeah, well, I'm
Yeah,
starting
we
to
may
have
have
that. I'm
to.
starting to have issues with yogiism. So you're smart by having that over there, but there's only so many great ones that he said. But I have a new one today, so it'll be a good one. I hope. I think it'll be a good one. So
Sounds good, and thanks guys for having me on here. I really
course.
appreciate it.
of course,
Of
man.
course, this will not be the last time.
No, it will not. No, it will not. Have a good one, Matt. We'll see you around.
I'll see you guys later. I appreciate it again.
course.
Well, we gotta do what we got here. We got a few more minutes remaining. Not much time. We're gonna actually push a couple of things that we have scheduled out, but we're gonna bring it to you guys. We're gonna get you guys our rapid fire this week. Josh, are you ready for the rapid fire?
Honestly, no, but I'll be ready for it as soon as it comes.
Well, you're gonna have to be ready for it because in about 10 seconds, Ben will get the clock up, and then you're gonna have 60 seconds to one-word answer my questions. And
Sounds good.
you better be ready. So here we go.
Yeah, man.
All right, for the first one for our rapid fire, Ashton Genty drafted in the top 6.
Not crazy, but no.
All right, let's stick to the one word. Shohei eyeing bullpen sessions.
Great.
Kirk Cousins to Pittsburgh rumors.
Oy.
Who's better, Amen or Asar?
Amen.
Umps call Aaron Judge home run a foul ball.
Blasphemy.
The Braves being last place in the NL West.
Very shocking. Needed to.
Current chances, Grizzlies stun the Thunder down 0-2. Who goes 1 in tomorrow's draft?
Cam Ward.
Perfect.
That was really good.
I set you up though on the last one though.
Yeah.
Who goes first is you got to give 2 names. You got to give names to first name, last name. But that's
Absolutely.
okay. That's okay.
But
We're
you
getting
remember-
better. We're not perfect at these
remember-
rapid fires, but we're getting there.
But you remember that I said Cleveland will trade from 2 to 1 to get him.
Well, we'll see.
Because the Titans GM came out the other day saying Cam Ward will go number 1, but he didn't say we are drafting Cam Ward.
Well, you heard it here first from Josh. So I also had one more question I wanted to ask you. I had this brewing, and then we're gonna wrap up here. But if it was up to you, right? Would you rather have the Devils advance past this round or the Thunder? Only one could advance.
Literally 1,000 times out of 5, I would say the Thunder.
1,000 times out of 5. You'd say the Thunder, really?
Because you think
shocked.
about it, if the Devils are, I mean, it was awesome seeing Brat score and give a little hope in the last game, but we don't have Jack. So if I give up the Thunder for a round that we're getting obliterated by a team that won their playoff series, that seems like a terrible idea when the Thunder can go get a championship.
Makes sense. Well, thank you guys for tuning in this week. We had a great week with Matt asking some questions. It kind of filled up the whole episode, but that's what happens when you have a good time catching up with people that you hadn't get to see all the time. I know you get to see him a lot more than I do, but I don't get to see Matt a whole lot. But I appreciate all you guys for...
Next time sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but the next time you come up, you got to see Savannah and his daughter together. They're like...
Well, first of all, I wanted to clarify. I think you did mean to cut me off. Okay, I think that was intentional. And second, that sounds like a really great sight to see. I could only imagine, especially because they're around the same age too, right? Well, how many months are they apart?
They are a month and a couple of days.
Wow, so like 35 days. That's incredible.
Yeah.
But let's give you our yogiism, our famous yogiisms. We got a new one this week. It's difficult to make predictions, especially about the future. Brilliant, man. Gotta love him. Thank you guys. Josh, tell them where they could find us. I keep forgetting. Social media.
Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. And shout out to Jay Cluck was texting me before saying he was going to try and get on your nerves if Cleveland swept us, but I told him that was never going to happen.
Well, didn't happen, thank goodness. So thank you guys again for tuning into this week's episode of Beyond the Score podcast. We will see you guys next week.